Who can do this sentence, write the sentence correctly? Elsa, number 1 for us, please.
It is an imperative sentence.
Imperative sentence. And how can we write it correctly?
We capitalize the letter T at the beginning and put a period at the after the word artist.
Good job. So an imperative sentence is what kind of sentence? It tells what, Elsa?
It is a command.
A command. Good job. All right, number 2, Lily. Can you read the sentence, please?
Do artists make a lot of money? It's an interrogative sentence.
And how can we write it correctly?
Capitalize the letter D at the beginning and add a question mark at the end.
Good job. Okay, number 3, Ciro.
Do some artists become very famous and rich? Declarative.
And how can we write it correctly?
Capital S. Some artists become very famous and rich, period.
Good job. Okay. And number 4. Hen, right? All right, go ahead, Hen.
It must be when someone buys your work. This is an exclamatory sentence.
And how can we write this sentence correctly?
So H and add a exclamation point in the end.
Okay, good job. Okay, any questions about this page? Easy, right? Okay, good job. So what was our next page? That was 21. We had page 20. Did I say pages 21 through 23 or pages 21? No, just 21 to 23. And thank you. Okay, so it says no sentence variety. I would like you to read these paragraphs about making movies. Making movies used to be very different from the way it is today. I wonder what you know about making movies already. What do we think of this paragraph? Interesting or boring? Yep, pretty boring, okay? Who can read our paragraph with varied sentence types? Kent, can you read for us, please?
Read this paragraph about making movie. How different the process used to be from what it is today. What do you know about making movie already? Read on to find out more.
Okay. Good job. So our paragraphs are much more interesting and sound a lot better when we have varied sentence types. Okay, so we are going to change each underlined declarative sentence to another kind of sentence. Write the new sentences on the lines below. So I'm gonna say, who can read the whole text for us without changing anything? Sky, can you read the paragraphs without changing anything?
People have been making movies since the early 1900s. I wonder what making the earliest movies was like. I think watching a very old movie is exciting. You can find some of them on the internet. The earliest movies were not very complicated. I do not want you to think making those earliest movies were easy. The cameras were very big and hard to move around. They only recorded pictures in black and white. There was no sound either, so the actors couldn't speak. It is safe to say that people who made early movies had to work very hard.
All right, good job. So that's just a lot of boring information. Instead, we are going to change the underlined sentences to make them more interesting. So, number 1, how can we change? I wonder what making the earliest movies was like. How can we change that into an interrogative sentence? Mitzi, can you do that one for us, please? All right, go ahead, Mitzi. Did you do the homework for today, Mitzi?
Yes.
Okay, so can you read your sentence for us, please?
What was making the earliest movies like?
Okay, good job. What was making the earliest movies like? Okay. Number 2, exclamatory. I think watching a very old movie is exciting. Bill.
I think watching a very old movie is exciting.
Okay, can you say it with strong feeling then, please?
Watching a very old movie is exciting.
Okay, good job. All right, number 3, imperative. Ming, where is your camera? All right, think down number 3, please. I do not want you to think making those earliest movies was easy. Can you change that into an imperative sentence, please?
Do not think making those earliest movie was easy.
All right, good job. Do not think making those earliest movies was easy. All right, so now we are giving someone a command. And our last one. It is safe to say that people who made early movies had to work very hard. So, Ming, can you change this to an exclamatory sentence, please?
Making these early movies was very hard.
Making these early movies was very hard. Like this?
No, with the exclamation point at the end.
Can you say it with an exclamation point?
Making these early movies was very hard.
That doesn't sound like an exclamation point. How can we say it with an exclamation point?
Making these early movies was very hard.
Okay, better. All right, any questions about our homework? What do you think? Easy, medium, or difficult? Nothing? Boo, what do you think? Okay, Princess and the Pea. So let's get our journeys books out, please. I'm gonna ask a few questions about the story. So if you have your journeys books, get it out. So did everyone read this story already? Who can tell me a brief summary of the story? What happened in this story? Maggie, what happened in this story?
In the story, a prince is looking for a real princess to marry, but he couldn't find one. And then, on a stormy night, a girl went to the castle door and then said that she is caught in the storm and that she is the real princess. And so the queen make a test to see if she is a real princess. The queen take a pea and put it under a lot of blankets and mattresses, and the princess can feel the pea under a lot of mattresses, and so the queen said that she is a real princess.
Okay, thank you, Maggie. All right, so let's read a little bit of this and then I'll ask some questions. So I'm gonna read the first paragraph and then we can take turns reading a bit later on. Okay. Princess and the Pea by Annie Dalton, embroideries by Belinda Downs. Once there was a prince who was as handsome as any prince could be, but he was also a persnickety prince, the kind of young man who likes everything just so. And he got it into his head that he could only marry a real princess. He knew perfectly well that a real princess is as rare as a unicorn, but this didn't put him off, not at all. So, how does the author in this first paragraph describe the prince? Toilam, what word does the author use to describe the prince? Everyone else can be typing their answers into the chat. Toilam?
Persnickety.
The author uses the word persnickety to describe the prince. What do we think the word persnickety means? And Toilam, I need you to be paying attention so I don't have to wait 4 minutes for you to find a word that I just said. Chimai, what do you think the word what do you think the word persnickety means?
I think that he's like very stubborn. If he wants something, he will do that.
Well, it says it right in the first paragraph. If someone is persnickety, he or she, Lingji,
He or she will
it says it in the first paragraph.
the kind of young man who likes everything just so.
So, what does the word persnickety mean?
Means that a person who likes everything just so.
So a person that likes everything just so, a person who's very particular about the things that he or she likes. So this prince is persnickety, so he only wants to marry a what? Minnie? How is the prince persnickety? Because he likes everything just so, so he only wants to
marry a real princess.
He only wants to marry a real princess. Okay, so it says, so what idea about princesses does the author suggest by the simile in the first paragraph? So who sees a simile in the first paragraph? Mingcho, what simile do you see in the first paragraph?
I see he A real princess is as rare as a unicorn.
And what does this simile give? What idea does this simile give us about princesses?
That a real princess is very rare.
That a real princess is very rare. Okay, good job. All right, let's keep reading. I'll just search high and low until I find one, he said cheerfully. So with 2 friends for company, off he rode into the wide world to find a real princess to be his bride. Now, on his travels, as you'd expect, the prince met dozens and dozens of princesses, but whenever he made up his mind to marry one, right at the last minute, he'd change his mind again and decide that this princess wasn't a real one after all. His friends couldn't understand him. But the last one was perfect, they cried. Hair like moonlit silk, eyes like big blue pansies. What didn't you like? Her dancing? Of course not, sighed the prince. She's as graceful as a swan. Was it her handwriting then, or her manners? Her handwriting is miles better than mine, said the prince gloomily. So are her manners. You hate her voice, is that it? How could I, sighed the prince. Her voice is as soft as a dove's, exactly how a princess's voice should be. And he buried his head into his hands. Then why won't you marry her? Cried his friends. Because I can't be sure she is a real princess, the prince explained. So the prince and his companions rode sadly home. If I can't marry a real princess, then I won't marry at all, he told his mother, the queen. That night, a terrible storm blew up. Lightning crackled across the sky, thunder boomed, the wind howled, and rain battered the windows. So, why does the prince reject all the princesses he meets on his travels? Dino, why does he reject all the princesses?
Because he is not sure that they are real princesses.
Yep, he's not sure that they're real princesses. Good job, Dino. All right, let's keep reading. Suddenly, between crashes of thunder, the queen heard a firm tapping at the palace gates. So she threw on her dressing gown and went to see who it could be. A girl was standing outside, and what a state she was in. The wild weather had tangled her dark curls into a big bush. Rivers of rainwater streamed off her shoulders and splashed off her torn stockings, filling her sturdy little boots to overflowing. And every step she took made a sad squelch, like a frog in a ditch. Squish, squash. So, how does the girl who arrives at the palace compare to those the prince met on his travels? Pizza, how does she compare?
She compare that she is very not fancy and she is look like a normal girl.
Yeah, good job. She's not fancy and she looks like a normal girl. Okay. So, can we point out some examples of figurative language? Who can point out some figurative language examples here? Mid-A.
She was the wild weather had tangled her dark curls into a big bush. Rivers of rainwater streamed off her shoulders and splashed off her torn stockings, filling her sturdy little boots to overflowing. And every step she took made a sad squelch, like a frog in a ditch.
Okay, Mid-A, so I want you to tell me one sentence and give me what kind of tell me what kind of figurative language it is.
And what a state she was in.
What kind of figurative language would that one be?
An exclamation.
Nope. Figurative language is things like similes, metaphors, hyperbole, personification, idioms, things like that.
The wild weather had tangled her dark curls into a big bush.
And what kind of
It
figurative
is a
language?
metaphor.
Okay, so what two things are being compared there?
Her dark curls and a big bush.
Okay. All right, thank you. Does anyone else see an example of figurative language? Elsa?
Every step she took make a sad squelch like a frog in a dish.
Okay, so what two things are being, what kind of figurative language is this?
This is a simile.
Simile, and what two things are being compared here?
Her steps and a frog in a ditch.
Okay. Steps, and a frog, and a ditch. Okay, good job. All right. Let's keep reading. The queen nearly fainted when the sorry-looking creature said she was a princess who had lost her way in the storm and asked to stay the night. She sounds unusually firm for a princess, thought the queen, not a bit like a dove. The girl wasn't especially graceful either, but marched sturdily across the threshold in her soggy boots, squish, squash, and hung her dripping knapsack on the hook in the hall, just as if she lived there. Maybe you are a princess, and maybe you aren't, young lady, thought the queen, but you won't fool me for long. And she asked the girl to sign the visitor's book to see if she had the proper handwriting for a princess. But the girl shivered so hard that the ink spurted out of the pen in one big blot. Never mind, some soup will warm you up, said the cunning queen, and she heated some cabbage soup left from the servant's supper and gave it to the girl with a lump of stale bread. Instead of nibbling daintily like a princess should, the girl sat down at the kitchen and hungrily spooned up every last drop. She even polished the bowl clean with her crust. When she'd finished, there was a splash of soup on her nose. That was the best soup I have ever tasted, she sighed. Maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. But we'll settle this business once and for all, muttered the queen, for she knew a thing or two about princesses, if only her clever son had bothered to ask. So the queen hurried along to the spare bedroom. She whisked all the sheets and blankets off the bed, and off came the mattress too. Then she took a dried pea out of her pocket, placed it in the middle of the bed, and put the mattress back on top. Then on top of the first mattress, the queen piled another mattress and another, until the bed was 20 mattresses high. So, what does this illustration add to your understanding of this part of the story? So, Chimai, how does this illustration add to your understanding?
They're showing just some people putting mattresses on.
And what does the story say?
It says the queen put 20 mattresses on the bed with the pea on the first mattress.
Okay, good job.
And the picture shows that.
Okay, thank you, Chimai. What does the queen know about the princess that her son does not? James, what does the queen know about the princess that her son does not know? Has she done that yet? James? Next, she collected up all the spare quilts in the palace, some with stripes, some with polka dots, and some which badly needed to go to the laundry. But when she counted them, they came to 20 exactly. The queen stacked all 20 quilts on top of the 20 mattresses until the bed swayed about like a ship at sea. At last, the girl took off her boots and clambered sleepily onto this huge, high, swaying bed, and the queen blew out the candle, snuff, and left her alone for the night. Next morning, the queen asked if she had slept well. So what does this image here, what mental image is created by the simile? What does this image add to your understanding of the story? I want to go back to that first question. What mental image is created by the simile in the first paragraph? So, Minnie, do you see a simile in the first paragraph here?
Yes.
Tell me.
Until the bed swayed about like a ship at sea.
Until the bed swayed about like a ship at sea. And what mental image do you get from this simile?
The bed is not. It doesn't stay still.
Yep, it's not staying still. Okay, it's swaying about like a ship that's at sea. So it's rocking back and forth. Good job. And how does this image here add to your understanding of the story? Richard, how does this image add to your understanding of the story? What does it show? How does this picture how does this image add to your understanding of the story?
The image let me know more about the setting and help me know more why the author used the simile. The bed swayed about like a ship at sea.
Okay, good job. And the hen, the image on this page, is it a painting, a drawing, or what kind of image is this? What is it made out of? Or what does it look like it's made out of? Is it just like a regular painting, or does it look like something else? Like, look here on the mattresses or on the curtains here, and on the drawers, and on the queen's dress. What is all of this?
The thread for wool.
Yeah, so it looks like a quilt. Why do you think the illustrator chose to use images that look like quilts in this story? What is an important part of this story? Ken? Why do you think the illustrator chose to use images that look like quilts with stitches? Big part of this story, of the plot of this story. The bed, which is made of the mattresses. Okay. The illustrator decided to use images that look like quilts. Okay. But the poor girl was as pale as a ghost. Not a wink, I'm afraid, she complained. Something was sticking into me all night. Look, I'm bruised all over. When the queen saw that the girl had felt a tiny pea digging into her through 20 mattresses and 20 quilts, she knew she must be a real princess after all, and ran to tell her son the search was over. Only a real princess has skin so delicate, she told him. A real princess at last, he gasped. Then, if she likes me, we'll marry at once. So the prince married the princess. After the wedding was over, the pea was put on show at the Royal Museum. And if you don't believe me, go and see for yourself. So, last question. What is surprising about the prince's willingness to marry the princess? Why would this be so surprising, Kent?
Because
how did the author describe the prince at the beginning of the story?
he described the prince
Do you remember?
like Persnickety prince.
Persnickety,
Persnickety.
which means what?
The kind of young man who like everything just so.
Okay, and is this princess fit that description? Or is she kind of crazy?
It's
How did the princess look and act when she first came into the castle?
look like a crazy.
Yeah, she had her tangled hair was all over the place. Okay, she's wearing boots, sturdy boots. When the queen gives her some food to eat, Does she eat it daintily, like a princess should?
Now she is nope.
How does she eat it?
Swish swash. The girl wasn't especially graceful either, but marked sturdily across the threshold in her soggy boot. Her dripping snack on the hook in the hole, just as if she lived there.
So does she act like the kind of princess you would think the prince would like and
No.
want to marry? No. But what does he do at the end?
She marries a prince.
Yeah, so that is surprising. Good job, Kent. And what lesson can be drawn from this tale? What kind of lesson can we learn from this tale? Boo, what do you think? Everyone can type their answer into the chat, please. What kind of lesson can be drawn from this tale?
Do not know.
Queen first think of the princess when she came in.
Like
What was she confused about?
scared.
Who was scared? The queen was scared of the princess?
No.
No. What did the queen think of the princess when she first came in? Did you think that she was a real princess or maybe just a regular person?
A regular person.
Then she ended up to be.
A princess.
So what kind of lesson can we learn from this? Should you judge people based on their first appearances?
That they can be very important also.
Say again?
They can be very important.
What can be?
The person that we judge.
Okay, so you shouldn't do what?
Judge people.
Based on?
Their cover.
Okay, Kent, tell us.
Don't judge other people by their appearance.
Mm-hmm. Yep, good job. So you shouldn't judge others based just on their appearance. Ciro, do you have anything to add?
Yes. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yep, good job. Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge people based on their first appearances. Okay, so for homework today, you're going to choose one of the prompts from page 75 here. Okay, one of the compare text prompts. So read all three of them, please, and then choose one, either text to text, text to self, or text to world, and write a response to it. Okay? And then we'll go over some writing tomorrow. So choose one prompt from the compare text section to write a response for. Everyone knows what to do for homework? Yeah. Do we have any questions about our story from today or what to do for homework? No? Okay.
No.
Then I will see
No.
everyone tomorrow. Okay?
Bye.
Bye. See you all tomorrow. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.